Hey, welcome back to the CannaTech podcast. We're with Duane Roebuck again out of BlueStar Distributing, the guy that invented the industry. How you doing today, Duane?
Yeah, doing great. I wish I did invent the industry. I'd be sitting on a yacht somewhere, enjoying things a little better than what I am.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, welcome back to the first quarter. And hey, let's talk about a recent piece over in MJ Biz Daily. The pandemic will further solidify the cannabis industry's reputation as recession proof. So it's countercyclical. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what's happened is across the industry, people are beginning to recognize that the cannabis industry isn't going away. And if you look at the number of states that are have either legalized recently or getting ready to legalize, and I live in Ohio, and there's a tremendous effort to get adult use on the ballot here. And so I think not only is there, an opportunity for individual consumers, but for resellers in this space as well, because what I'm seeing across all retail and hospitality is that this pandemic has really focused on operational efficiencies and conversely, inefficiencies. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity for resellers to meet with people in the cannabis industry, especially if you've got a relationship because of all of the M&As that are going on, is to, start having conversations around operational efficiency and how you can help them. Early on, I believe that a lot of resellers, kind of handicapped themselves. They felt like they couldn't be in this industry if they weren't connected with a software company.
Yep.
The resellers I'm seeing that are being successful are ones that aren't limiting themselves to that, but are looking at this as a traditional retail organization and going in there and showing them, everything from media in terms of labeling and printing, barcode scanning, RFID, how they can be more operationally efficient, because despite what everyone thinks, the cannabis industry still does have a considerable amount of turnover from an employee perspective.
It does.
Yeah, and so it's how do you make these growers, processors, and dispensary owners able to do more and get more analytics on the business that they're doing so that they know in what direction their company should be. I think the resellers who are able to do that without relying on a crutch of, necessarily being connected to a cannabis software company are going to be the ones that succeed.
Yeah. Here's my take on it. Is early in my career, I went through an oil bust, and that's not pretty. Natural resource economies, man, when they're good, and when they're bad.
Right.
They do swing. And the what I saw, and again, it's fairly young, but what I saw was staples like groceries do well in a recession, because for the sake of argument, you eat 2,200 calories a day. Well, that doesn't really change in a boom time or a down time, right? You got to eat. So
right.
The groceries do pretty well. And then there was the sin tax, or the sins. So you had liquor, gun sales back in Alaska. You had the adult entertainment industry. And I would put cannabis in the category just because liquor's there. And it's real, Duane. I mean, in a recession, in fact, you probably drink more.
Right. And what they're seeing is, in a lot of areas, there's a lot of reasons why there could be, decline in some areas in terms of taxation and things like that. But for the most part, cannabis is consistently growing. More and more money is being spent in lobbying, which typically lets what direction an industry is going in. And you're seeing players, from Anheuser-Busch to Amazon stepping in on this arena. So, that's why I feel like the opportunity is there for resellers who can show more of a value than, simply fulfilling a hardware order. Get in there and, show them and give them the analytics that a traditional retailer would want, to be able to set the tone for their business. And those that are able to do that, I'm seeing are being tremendously successful. And then there are areas, beyond hardware that resellers really need to look at. So if any of your listeners are interested,
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with them, in terms of, where I'm seeing success from a reseller perspective or MSP perspective, especially with, the chip shortage and things like that. That's impacting everybody, all the way down to cannabis. And so, there are ways to, to some extent to get around that. Supply chain issues, everybody's got it. But, thus the need for more operational efficiency.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to put your email address with your permission down in the blog below the podcast, as well as your URL. Folks, give BlueStar, give them a fair shake and reach out to Duane. Hey, Duane, we'll end on this. Well, before you know it, it'll be the end of Q1. Not quite, but name one or two shows where people might see you in the next few months. And I always say, all things being equal, that we have shows.
Well, I'm hoping to make it to your show. I know it's been, changed around. I am looking at, two of the shows that I find tremendous value. The Cannabis Conference, which is put on by GIE Media.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and MJ BizCon, of course. That's a must attend. But I'm actually, getting back to looking at smaller, more regional focused shows.
I agree. In your role.
Yes. Well, simply because I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of demand for face-to-face business. And so, depending on where you're located, there could be some, really good gems there, in the Chicago area, as well as I know NECAN is one that's coming up in a couple, in a week or two, I believe.
Yeah, and I think we just crossed, don't hold me to it, but I think we just crossed past CannaCon up in Oklahoma, but it got some buzz. That's why I can remember it. It got some buzz.
I think, what I saw last year is people wanted to get out. So, I look at MJ Biz where, I believe they still, even on a down year, they still had, I want to say like 35,000 attendees last year. And then I look at NRF, which is a big retail show in New York City. And they typically have 35,000. This year, they had 7,000 because of the pandemic. So, I think the shows that happen before winter are, at least until we figure out if we're past the pandemic or if this is going to be something that's seasonal. So, and what I've seen, because, at last year's Cannabis Conference, I believe their attendance was up, I want to say like 200 or 300%, so people want to get out.
I'm going to write that one down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, I'll let you run. We'll talk to you next quarter. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.